The Adventures of Duarte, Chapter 2. The training hall's crystal walls shimmered with amber light. The crystalline trees' radiance softened as day gave way to dusk. Beneath Duarte's coiled tail, the distant hum of molten lava pulsed from the volcano's roots, steady, alive. His iridescent wings folded tight against his back, catching flecks of sapphire light that danced across his feathers. Ink-stained fingers traced invisible patterns in the air, betraying nerves he tried to keep hidden as he lingered at the edge of the hall. Around him, chatter ebbed and faded. Avians chirped farewells, insectoids clicked out coded goodbyes, and fluid-limbed octopi flowed toward the exits, their voices echoing against the chamber's vaulted crystal. Younger students spun wild tales of imagined battles with Malboros beyond the tree's reach, their curfews dragging them reluctantly home. Duarte stayed. Though young, he waited with quiet purpose, sharp eyes following the lattice of light on the floor. He yearned for more than a glance or a farewell. He sought Hojin's gaze, his mentorship, a recognition that his art could speak truths no blade could. Cullis lingered too, older and self-assured, his polished, gill-stamped pendant catching the last gleams of crystal light. He leaned close to Hojin, wings angled just enough to command presence, voice oiled with charm. "Master Hojin," he said, smooth as polished mithril, "your tales of the outer wastes inspire trades I'd wager even the monarch wouldn't envy." Duarte's feathers bristled. Still, he stood his ground, stepping forward as the final voices faded. Hojin remained, weathered, silent, his cloak shimmering in the prismatic glow, blending into the hall's light like a mist in moonrise. Tangled hair framed a face carved by time, and the slow tap of his walking stick echoed, a rhythm like a distant heartbeat. "Master Hojin," Duarte began, his voice steady but brushed with a painter's reverence. "Today's lesson struck a chord, like a single stroke that holds a universe. You spoke of lingering on intent, and I feel it now, a canvas where one true line outshines 1,000. I'm working on a piece tonight. It tries to catch the tree's light, and what lies beyond. Could I—" Duarte's tail gave a quick, involuntary flick, a tell he never quite mastered. "Share it with you? Your insights could shape it into something lasting." Hojin's gaze met his, sharp, unreadable, distant. "Young artist," he murmured, voice low as wind through bone branches. "Your lingering is a ripple in the stream, fleeting, yet it clings to form. What truth do you find in my silence, not in the clamor of your need?" Duarte's wings shivered, but he didn't falter. "I find," Duarte's tail gave a flick, "a call to look beyond the tree's glow, to paint what waits in the places light doesn't reach. With your guidance, I think my work could show that." Hojin's crippled wing drifted to Duarte's shoulder, not a grip of acceptance, just a fleeting pat like falling ash. "Praise is but a shadow cast by the self," he said. "Cullis, your stillness speaks louder. Your path whispers truth I long to witness." Turned to the older avian. Cullis' smirk deepened, eyes gleaming with quiet triumph. The pendant at his chest flashed, a symbol of earned privilege Duarte couldn't yet rival. "I understand, Master," Duarte said, voice quiet but unwavering. "My eagerness outpaces my patience. But this piece, it will sing of worth, of truth beyond blade or coin. I'll shape it alone, and when it's ready, I hope it earns your eye." He bowed low. His tail curled close to his chest as he turned, slipping out onto the radiant street that wound toward the residential district. The tree's light followed, soft but unyielding, too perfect, too shadowless to soothe the weight settling in his chest. Duarte slithered through the arched crystal doorway of his family's home, the crystalline tree's amber glow scattering prismatic flecks across the polished floor. His avian wings drooped, burdened by Hojin's rejection, and his tail dragged behind him, whispering against the crystal with a sound like shame. Vases, spoils from long-past guild expeditions, gleamed beside sleek, minimal furnishings, silent monuments to his parents' prosperity and their contradictions. Illyria stood by the glowstone-lit table, robes shimmering in rich greens, her braided hair adorned with unstated jewels that marked status without flash. Torin, cloaked in a tailored silver vest, hunched over a ledger, his signet ring catching stray firelight with each turn of the page. "Duarte, my heart," Illyria began, her voice warm but laced with strain. "The delivery to the council scribe was due at midday, not dusk. Do you know what it costs when the Sudi name is tied to delay? Our reputation is no trifle." Her beak dipped slightly, eyes narrowing, not angry, but tired of excuses. Duarte's tail gave a quick, involuntary flick. "The paper reached its destination, Mother, I swear," he said quickly. "The scribe needed help cataloging stock. I stayed to assist. You've always said to win hearts with service, to turn need into trust. I thought I was doing right." Torin looked up, gaze sharp and waiting. "Your obligations lie here, Duarte, with the paper that binds this tree's order, not chasing whims that fracture our work." His hands tightening around the ledger, knuckles paling just enough to betray a memory he didn't voice. "I once dreamed of the wild," he said quietly, then steadied his tone. "But duty saved me. The guild fills heads with glory, but the world beyond devours the unready." Duarte's shoulders sank. The tree's light, once a comfort, seemed to dim behind his parents' words. His gaze flickered to the artifacts in the room, proof that they once believed in adventure too. Now they clung to its spoils while denying him the same pursuit. "I hear you, Father," he said softly, wings twitching at his sides. "I know you want to protect me, to keep my world safe, even if it's small. But today wasn't just delivery. Helping the scribe, it mattered. I'll paint it tonight, try to find the truth inside it." Illyria stepped closer, her beak brushing gently against his wing, a gesture of affection that both soothed and stung. "This family's legacy depends on precision," she said, voice gentle but firm. "How can we secure the new contract if our son disrupts the rhythm? The guild stories are gilded illusions, luring youth with talk of greatness, but the wild silences those voices far too soon." Torin's tone hardened, final. "Cease weaving dreams from their lies. Your path is here, measured, proven, and safe. You're too young to grasp what cost truly is. Let duty be your guide." The words struck deep, both warning and plea. The love in them was real, but so was the wall they built between him and the life he wanted. Duarte's fingers brushed the coins in his pocket, modest payment from honest work. Still warm, still his, and a spark flared beneath the weight of their warnings. Cullis. Hojin's chosen. If Duarte could win his favor, perhaps it would open a door Hojin had closed. "I'll try harder," Duarte said at last, voice steadier than he felt. "I'll make the deliveries on time, but I won't stop dreaming." He bowed, wings folding close, and slipping out into the crystalline streets. The glow of the tree trailed behind him, soft amber shifting to twilight gold, as he wound his way toward the eastern wall of the market beyond. He'd stop there before his next rounds, a calculated detour, one step closer to the path they warned him against. The guild chamber pulsed with quiet defiance. Illyria and Torin's wishes, torn and ignored, shadowed Duarte's mind. He sat among a ring of students, his avian wings tucked tight, their iridescent feathers catching slivers of light from the crystal sconces above. His tail gave a quick, involuntary flick. Hojin's voice filled the space, weathered and sure, recounting a behemoth's fall beyond the tree. His scarred beak and tattered cloak bore the truth of survival. Above him a polished adamantine sword, guild relic and relic of risk, hung heavy on the wall, its silent gleam whispering warnings about the journeyman test. Duarte clutched a small parcel of Mughal sugar candies, their wrappers crinkled from weeks of being stashed away. hard-won sweets from long delivery runs for sous paper. He glanced at Cullis, seated beside him. As the tale reached its crescendo, Duarte leaned close, offering the parcel with a grin just sly of reckless. "For you," he whispered, wings trembling with nerves. Cullis's eyes lit up. They shared a quiet chuckle, tucking the candies away from the hungry eyes of nearby insectoids and octopi. "Cullis, I need your counsel," Duarte said, his tail coiling again. "My parents think I'm tangled in their paper empire, always late with deliveries. They don't know I'm here, steeping my soul in the guild's call. They'd call it betrayal, but the journeyman test, it's a canvas for truths I long to paint. How do I make them see it's more than their fear of danger? Duarte's tail gave a quick involuntary flick. "You're always so sure." Cullis popped a candy into his beak and leaned closer, his tail wrapping briefly around Duarte's in an avian gesture of camaraderie. "Your parents piling expectations on you, that's leverage, not a cage." His voice smooth as polished orichalcum. "I faced mine earlier, cut my own path when they tried to box me in. Don't go toe-to-toe with their fear. That's a losing game. Tell them their overprotection stifles the potential they believe in. Make the journeyman test their idea, like you're honoring them by stepping forward. People eat that up." Duarte's beak twitched, a small spark of relief lighting his eyes. "Your words cut through the fog like a master's stroke," he said. "I'll sketch out my pitch, find the colors of truth to share. Maybe that's the first step." As Hojan's lesson ended, the students lined up to give their thanks. Cullis and Duarte lingered at the back, their voices low. "Most problems are miscommunications, or someone not listening," Cullis said, flashing a sideways grin. "Parents like yours, digging in? They're scared of something specific. You want to break through? Find out what's actually got them spooked. Ever press them on why adventuring's a hard no?" Duarte's wings slumped, tear hovering just out of sight. "I don't know, a whole of it," he admitted, voice unsteady. Their words were shadowed, vague but heavy. They speak of danger, of the guild luring the young to ruin. When I was small, I'd shout that I'd be an adventurer, bold and free, but they'd frown and say, "That's not how a Sudi carries themselves." They want me stacking ledgers, not chasing legends. My sketches, Duarte's tail flicked. They're my rebellion, my breath. But to them, it's ink wasted unless it lines a balance sheet. Cullis rested a clawed hand on Duarte's shoulder. "You've got a choice, kid, and that's power," he said. "Facing them might be what finally proves you're not just their boy. But hesitation? That costs more than a misstep. Map out what you want. Freedom, adventure, the stuff your paintings dream of. And pitch it like a business deal. Make it irresistible." Duarte's gaze brightened, but doubt still curled at the edges. "Confront them," he murmured. "I see their faces, stern as stone, and my words just crumble. Cullis, could you speak to Master Hojan? Maybe he could lend his wisdom, make them see the guild as more than peril." Cullis grinned, sly and confident. "Think like a winner, Duarte. Better yet, get your parents to a guild meeting. I've got a plan." They approached Hojan, who stood at the front, weathered as ever. Before Duarte could speak, Cullis raised his voice with flair. "Master, Duarte's got a situation. Parents locked up tighter than a vault on adventuring. Picture this. Sudi paper supplying guild outposts beyond the tree. Finest stock on every expedition. We've got guild material and the guild's name. That's gold for a trade deal." Hojan's wings shifted, the crippled one twitching slightly. "Duarte, you linger where roots cling to stone," he said, his voice low and resonant. "Cullis, your scheme weaves vines to draw them here. Speak plainly, or let it unravel." Cullis didn't miss a beat. "We get your old adventuring crew involved. They pitch the idea. Show the Sudi family how their paper empire could expand through the guild. That gets them listening. That's how we shift the story." Hojan's eyes narrowed, sensing both risk and potential. "The past carries weight," he said quietly. "If old shadows can sway them, I'll summon one. One. Let's see if their resolve is stone or ash. Now go. Chase your truths, not their echoes." Under the fading amber light of the tree, Cullis and Duarte slithered from the hall, plodding beneath twilight's hush. Duarte clutched the last of his candies, his fingers sticky with the sugar and resolve. He'd paint his pitch. He'd weave his parents into the guild's orbit. And he would take the journeyman test, no matter the shadows it stirred. The guild chamber glowed under the crystalline tree's amber light, deepening to orange as evening settled. Cullis scanned the circle of journeymen, avian wings half-folded, insectoid carapaces reflecting crystal facets, all shifting under the room's living glow. On the wall, an adamantine spear from a veteran Malboro hunt gleaming like frozen lightning, its presence a reminder of what waited beyond the tree. But Cullis only saw the empty space where Duarte should have been, nearly a week. No sketches, no candy, no rebellious spark. Cullis's wings twitched, and his mithril pendant caught the fading light, a charm earned through hustle and grit. He strode toward Violer, fellow avian whose feathers were immaculately preened, catching the chamber's amber hues like stained glass. "You seen Duarte?" he asked casually, but clipped. "Kid's always trailing me," he added, jaw tightening. "Sketching like the guild's his lifeline. It's been almost a week, way off his rhythm." Violer's wings flared. Her voice came sharp like parchment torn mid-sentence. "Cullis, you've been jawing all evening. Let's not pretend this is normal. Duarte's ghosting us. This long? That's a signal, not a slip. You gonna let it slide, or actually do something?" She jabbed a claw toward his chest, feathers bristling with conviction. "You're past playing nice. This isn't just about friendship, it's about keeping the guild whole. So find him, lay it bare, no half measures." Cullis's tail lashed once behind him, heat flushing into his beak. "I've got a soft spot for the hustler," he said, feathers rising slightly. "Kid's got more spark than half this hall, and with the journeyman test a week out, I'm not letting him vanish. If you've heard anything, what's holding him back, where he might be, now's the time." He turned to the younger initiates, wings tucked back as he wove through their ranks. "Duarte?" he asked again and again. Each face shook its head. Nothing from the market stalls, nothing from the crystal library's echoing aisles, nothing from the audition hall where talent blended into light. Duarte, who usually haunted every corner like a dream half-sketched, was gone. A chill prickled Cullis's neck. The plan to bring Duarte's parents into the guild must have shattered. "Hojin might know," he murmured, angling toward the veteran. Hojin's gaze met his as if he'd been waiting. Scarred beak, clouded eye, silence heavy. "Haven't seen him, lad," Hojin said, voice buzzing like low thunder. "No word on the meeting either. His roots, they cling too tightly. Perhaps they've begun to strangle." Cullis swallowed hard. Confronting a friend was harder than facing a quarrel. But Duarte was a deal he couldn't lose. He moved through the city like a current, swift, steady, until the towering silhouette of the Sudi residence rose before him. Its crystal facade shimmered with ancestral pride, windows glowing faintly from within. He knocked on the door, straightened his pendant like armor. Lyria answered. Her robe, once opulent, seemed dimmed under the orange dusk, her braided feathers tight with tension. She looked down her beak at him, arms folded in practiced grace. "Good day, Mrs. Sudi," Cullis said smoothly, bowing slightly. "I'm Cullis, Duarte's friend from the guild. Haven't seen his spark around the hall lately. Has he been tied up with deliveries? He's an inspiration, really. Always pushes me to step up. Mind if I check in?" Lyria's feathers bristled, her stance hardening. "He's not home," she said, voice cold as calcite. "My son has responsibilities, ones that carry weight beyond childish fantasy. I understand he's been entangled with your guild, chasing notions best left in dreams. The Sudi name is not a tool for escapism." Cullis's grin strained but held. "I always say, pick your battles to win the war. Duarte's got a fight in him, and I'm betting he's just about to make his move. Just need to know he's alright to help him land the win." The door slammed shut. Crystal rang like a bell struck hard, its echo hollowing the streets. Cullis stood for a long moment, then he turned. He searched the market again, combed through the library shelves, even checked the stage where Duarte once painted dreams in color and defiance. Still nothing. Only one place remained, the barrier to the tree's roots, the edge of civilian territory, where the glow of lava licked up from the depths of the shadows danced on stone. If Duarte was hiding anywhere, it would be there, where the rules thinned, where fire met silence, where a boy could sketch rebellion in molten light, alone. The guards paced their routes as Duarte stared. Beyond them loomed the entrance to the roots of the tree, massive, glowing, forbidden, the boundary between dream and decree. It pulsed with the volcano's heat, the orange light flickering like breath held too long. The hum of magma echoed his turmoil. Crystal-armored guards stood sentinel. Their Deaderite gauntlets flashed wealth and might, marks of power and freedom. This was as far as a civilian could go, and it was further than he felt allowed to dream. Duart's wings drooped, feathers dulled by doubt. His ink-stained scarf hung limp around his neck, and his tail etched restless loops in the crystal dust. He used to sit here, sketching features and lines and pigments, imagining the day he'd pass through that arch and step into legend. Now that light mocked him. Then a voice cracked through the heat and stillness. "There you are, Duart!" Cullis slithered down the radiant path, his pendant flaring in the molten light, wings half open in visible relief. "I've scoured every corner of this tree for you, kid. Guild's quiet without your sketches and schemes." Sharp eyes took in Duart's slumped frame, reading the silence between his drooped wings. "The meeting with your folks crashed, didn't it?" he said softly. "Spill it. We're too close to the journeyman test to let suspicion sink the ship." Duart's beak twitched, his feathers ruffled with quiet frustration. It never even happened," he muttered. "I need to shake this weight. Let's race to the stairs. A fleeting dance with the wind. Give me a moment's head start, just enough to feel the world blur beneath my feet," Duart said, unfolding his wings and flapping them. They flew around for a while, the golden glow of the upper walls signaling daybreak. They landed back in front of the route's entrance. The mood had changed, but it loomed. They turned it down before it began, doused the spark before it could catch. I tried. Told them the guild's not just glory chasing, but something deeper, something real. But they see adventuring as a siren's call to ruin. Worse, my push made them suspicious. Thought I somehow engineered the invitation. My words betrayed me. I painted myself into a corner, trapped by my own palate. "Plans go sideways," he said, voice smooth as polished steel. "What's the deal? I defied my folks once too. Cut my path when they boxed me in. Here's the play. Take credit for the expansion idea." Duart blinked, confused. Doesn't matter if it wasn't your spark to start," Cullis continued. "Pitch it as yours. Tell them you're thinking like them, like a mogul. Show them a version of the Sudi paper that grows with you, chasing your dreams. Wrap rebellion in business sense. They'll eat it up." Hope stirred in Duart's gut, fragile and faint. "A guise?" he said slowly, tail coiling tighter. "I could say my training is for the family. A way to hone precision, gain discipline, return stronger. It's not wholly a lie. Adventure could sharpen me, mold me into something more." He hesitated. "But to speak it now, I'd have to trust they'd see the truth beneath the brushstrokes." Cullis chuckled, wings twitching with playful mischief. "You're not lying. You're playing smart. That itch to break free, it's in your blood. No shame in that." He leaned in, voice dropping to something near reverence. "I wasn't gonna say this yet, but I'm leaving soon. First real quest outside the tree. Might be gone a month or more." Duart's eyes widened. "I kept it quiet so you could focus," Cullis went on. "But you deserve to know. Use their suspicion. Turn it into vision. Claim the expansion as your own. Show your parents and the guild that you're a contender. You don't have to choose between family and freedom. Play the angles right, and you can win both." Duart scratched his beak, wings twitching. Deceiving his parents felt like a crack across his canvas. "I don't want exile from my family's hearth the moment I step beyond this gate," he said quietly. "But nor do I want to be a cog in the Sudi machine forever. A lie might free me, but it could stain who I'm becoming." He looked past Cullis to the molten horizon. "Waiting 5 years, that's a slow bleed, and they may never bend." Cullis's eyes gleamed. 5 years grinding while the world moves on. That's letting the game pass you by. Taking credit isn't just a fib, it's a power move. You've got the fire, the test's a week away, and I'll be gone soon. Make your move or risk staying stuck here, dreaming instead of doing. Duart's gaze sharpened, a spark ignited behind his eyes. "You're right," he said, voice steadier now. "If I want to be taken seriously, I must stand above my name, not beside it. I'll sketch my pitch, tie adventure into their legacy, make it clear I'm not running away, I'm building forward." He looked at Cullis, admiration simmering in his eyes. "Your words kindle hope, as always. I'll miss you. Come back with tales that rival Hojin's. Cullis grinned, wings flaring a dramatic flourish. I'm not gone yet. A few days left. Tomorrow, we celebrate, win or lose. Go home. Hone your pitch until it cuts sharper than your brush. I better not come back and find you still pacing the border like a lovesick poet. Pulled Duart into a firm, sibling-like embrace. Ready to deal? Duart nodded. His tail uncoiled slightly, hope coiling in its place. As he slithered back toward the residential district, the glow of daybreak shimmered at the tree's crown. He recounted every phrase, every word, sketching a path toward it in his mind, not just to convince his parents, but to claim his own identity. 1 foot in legacy, 1 in the unknown, both his. Duart stood before the crystalline door of his family's home. His avian wings trembled, iridescent feathers dulled against his ink-stained scarf. His tail coiled tight, etching anxious spirals in the crystal dust. He'd memorized his pitch like a bard preparing for a royal court, blending Cullis' strategy with his own vision. A company outside the tree, an empire, paper-bound, a legacy expanded. Drawing a breath, he knocked. His claws were steady, though the storm within raged. The door creaked open. Illyria appeared first, wrapped in jeweled robes, her braided hair catching the light like woven sunfire. Torrin stood beside her, silver vest taut over the ledger clutched in his claws. Mother? Father? Duart's voice was calm but firm. Please, sit. Tonight, I ask you hear me, as equals. They exchanged a glance, equal parts surprise and suspicion, but sat at the glowing table. Nearby, a guild contract shimmered faintly on parchment, untouched. Duart raised a claw. Picture this. A rival, slithering in the dark like a Tonberry's shadow, siphoning away Sudi's influence. Our paper, once the tree's spine, fading into irrelevance. He stepped closer, passion tightening his voice. I propose a shift, binding Sudi paper to the world beyond. A monopoly that tracks law, trade, regulation. Our quills weaving through every decree, not just inside the tree, everywhere. Illyria's eyes glinted with something colder than fear. You speak of monopolies, my heart, but you've never seen the wild. Do you think the guild's fairy tales make you immune to the consequences? Duart's tail coiled tighter, wings tense. You paint me with doubt, he said, voice rising, but I see clearer than I ever have. I've honored Sudi, stacked your papers, delivered your will, but I won't deny the pull any longer. I will join the Adventurers Guild, whether I wait or not. He stepped forward, eyes bright with conviction. My vision is larger than one district's paper mill. I see a future where Sudi doesn't just serve the tree, it serves the world. Bureaucracy beyond borders. Our forms and scrolls at the center of governance itself. That is real power. Illyria's scowl faltered. She exchanged a look with Torrin, quiet, measured. This idea, it's bold, she said carefully, but built on the guild's back. What if that spine breaks? You've struggled to hold your duties here. How will you build empires from that foundation? Torrin's feathers began to lower. I dreamed of adventure too once, he said quietly. It nearly broke me. Sudi is your future, where your artistry can sculpt policy, shape lives. Why risk it on unstable ground? Duart's chest rose, then fell. The room seemed to tilt under the weight of their history. I understand the risk, but I also see the path. Let me be your rogue agent, a public rift between us, if needed. Distance me from Sudi in name. Let the guild believe I walk alone, but behind the curtain we remain aligned. Lowered his voice, almost conspiratorial. Sudi gains influence, I gain freedom, and if I rise in the guild's ranks, we reshape how the world sees them. Torrin narrowed his eyes. We've spoken of outside markets before, but the guild is chaos, emotion over strategy. Prove you're not swept up in their fantasy. Wait until you're 18. Earn your place here first. Then we move. Together. Illyria stepped forward, her expression softened, though her voice still held steel. I'll agree to this, my heart, but only if you wait. No hidden trials. No rebellion. Prove yourself worthy of our trust. Prove yourself worthy of our trust. Then we'll walk into the storm with you, precisely, quietly, strategically. Duart's wings lowered slightly, the tension bleeding out, though the weight of expectation remained. I'll be your son, he said softly. Not just a dreamer chasing dragons, but this plan, this vision, will grow, with or without approval. I want to rise above Sudi, not drift apart from it. Torin held out a claw. Duarte took it, their grip firm. A silent pact passed between them, part ambition, part fear. And so the deal was struck. Over the next month, Duarte doubled down on guild studies under Hojin's mentorship, immersing himself in government structures and political histories. He drafted policy mock-ups, mapped trade routes, and imagined bureaucracies run on Sudi parchment. His parents remained cautious but supportive. Their trust, though fragile, was a bridge to the future he'd envisioned. And on that bridge, Duarte walked, with ink on his claws and fire in his chest. Days blurred at the base of the crystalline tree, where amber light pulsed under a heartbeat and the distant hum of lava marked the passage of time. Each morning, Duarte stood beneath the golden glow, lost amid the bustle of avians and insectoids. His ink-stained scarf fluttered faintly as his wings sagged, feathers dulled with unease. His tail drew anxious spirals onto the crystal dust below. His art had changed. No longer shadowed with fear, but brimming with vivid color, hopeful strokes, reflections of compromise, symbols of a pact made with his parents. Every day he rehearsed the words he'd say to Cullis about the deal to wait until 18, about the dream to fuse Sudi with the guild, but Cullis didn't return. A week passed. The silence stretched like an open wound. Then, "Don't start, Duarte," Violar's voice pierced the quiet. She stepped into view, her feathers catching the tree's glow like cut glass. Her beak was tight, eyes sharp with worry. "I've been pacing this street for days, waiting for Cullis to come stumbling back with that smug grin. He's been too long." Her tail lashed once. Duarte turned, his wings trembling slightly. "Good evening, Violar," he said, summoning strength, a trick he'd learned from his parents. "How does the morning's light find you, here, at the edge of our world?" Violar's feathers flared, frustration breaking through. "I thought I could hold the line for the guild. Stay calm, stay unified. But this waiting, it's hollowing me out. He wouldn't abandon us. We have to do something." Her voice cracked. Cullis believed in the cause. He wouldn't leave it behind. Duarte's tail coiled together, grounding himself. "Don't let despair color your thoughts," he said gently. "A week is but a single brushstroke on time's canvas. Cullis's courage burns like a beacon. We must believe, as he believed in us." But his words felt brittle. Truth dressed in hope. A shadow stirred in his chest. That evening, the guild's meeting chamber shimmered under refracted orange light. Crystal walls pulsed with uneasy energy. When Hojin stepped forward, silence fell like a shroud. His scarred beak was drawn, and his weathered cloak sagged under unseen weight. "Tonight," he said, voice low, "the lessons fall silent, for the world has spoken louder." The room froze. Cullis, our youngest journeyman, was claimed by the wild. His band faced a shadow maw beast, a terror that shatters illusion. Brave to a fault, he charged first. His comrades could not save him. Hojin paused, his voice thick with grief. "Grieve him, but remember, his end teaches what no words can." Silence crushed the room. Duarte felt the weight of it slam into him, hollowing his chest. His wings drooped, tail curled close as if to hold it in grief. Violar gripped his claw tightly. Her tears stained her feathers, falling freely as her beak trembled open in disbelief. Sectoids clicked low, mournful rhythms. Avians bowed their wings in reverence. Grief rolled across the chamber like thunder. Hojin remained standing, tall, grim, and reverent. His words painted Cullis as a firebrand, a hero undone not by recklessness but by hope and loss. Hours later, under the tree's dimming glow, Duarte and Violar stood together, silent and numb. The crystalline tree, once a tower of invincibility, now seemed small, fragile against the vase, brutal, wild. He walked to the wall and placed his hand on the adamantine blade. He knelt before it with a coiled tail. But his dream, it lives in us. I'll walk the adventurer's path, Violar. Not just for myself, for him, to finish his story. Will you join me? Will you carry his colors forward? Violar looked up, her eyes rimmed red but burning. She walked beside Duarte and placed her hand on the adamantine spear, reverence flowing through her as she bowed her head to the adventurers of the past. "Cullis is gone," she said, voice steady despite the pain, "but he'd laugh if we let his death stop us. He went beyond the tree to prove something, that we could be more, that unity meant more than safety. She stepped forward, fierce despite her tears. We don't stop. We fight harder. For him. For everything he believed. Duarte's fire rekindled, slow but steady, his claw tightening around the blade. I promised my parents, he said. I'll wait until I'm 18 for the journeyman test. I won't betray that, but I won't stand idle either. I'll use Sudi's name to shape the guild's future. We'll track every quest, record every life, so no one vanishes like he did. Violar's wings spread, the light catching fire in her feathers. Then we train. We rise. We become the strongest adventurers this tree has ever seen. And we reach others to rise too. And we teach others to rise too. We'll spread his legacy across every branch and root. Hojin watched quietly nearby, remaining still. But in the spark that had grown between them, born of grief, tempered in loss, he saw something more than mourning. He saw the beginning of a legend.